Yeah, it's technically just a refresh, but the MacBook Pro 14-inch 2023 promises to be the fastest laptop you can take anywhere with the battery life to back it up. And based on our test results for both the new M2 Pro chip and more powerful M2 Max chip, this system is an absolute beast. So how fast is it? What are the other upgrades? And since it starts at $2,000, is it worth the premium for you? Here's the pros and cons and my full review. The MacBook Pro 14-inch looks the same as its predecessor, but that's a pretty good thing. You get the same super solid squared-off aluminum chassis available in silver and space gray. I do wish Apple offered more color options such as the midnight blue on the MacBook Air M2. I do continue to appreciate the little things about this laptop, such as how easy it is to open with one hand thanks to the grooved front lip. You also have an easy Touch ID button for fast sign-ons and the elegantly carved MacBook Pro on the bottom of the machine. Weighing 3.5 pounds, the MacBook Pro 14-inch is a bit hefty for a 14-inch laptop. For instance, the Huawei MateBook X Pro weighs 2.9 pounds, and the HP Spectre X360 14 is 3 pounds, but those systems don't pack as much power. My only real complaint about the design is the notch at the top of the display, which houses the 1080p camera. It interrupts an otherwise gorgeous screen and is a bit distracting, but after a while, you get used to it. One other thing, as much as I appreciate having a Touch ID button built into the keyboard, I'd like to see Apple add a Face ID sensor to the MacBook Pro. Lots of Windows laptops let you log on just by looking at the camera. For a laptop this pricey, it seems like a no-brainer addition. The MacBook Pro 14-inch remains the portable MacBook to get if you want more than just USB-C ports. Yes, there's 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports on board, but you also get an SD card slot that photographers and videographers demand, as well as an HDMI port. That HDMI port now supports up to 8K resolution on external displays at 60 Hz, as the MacBook Pro 14-inch supports the HDMI 2.1 standard. Or you can do a 4K display up to 240 Hz. The M2 Pro chip supports up to 2 external monitors, and the M2 Max chip can drive up to 4 displays. The MacBook Pro 14-inch's mini LED display is easily one of the best you'll find at any laptop. It's bright, colorful, and offers a smooth 120 Hz refresh rate. While recording some B-roll for our review, I got lost in this panel while watching the trailer for Mandalorian Season 3. I was impressed by the gleaming silver in the Mandalorian's helmet and the rich gold textured cape on Greef Karga. I could even make out the fine hairs on Grogu's head in a darker scene. As expected, the MacBook Pro 14-inch's panel delivered excellent results in our lab test. When viewing HDR content, we saw as high as 1400 nits of brightness using our light meter. The 13-inch MacBook Pro reaches just under 500 nits. The MacBook Pro 14-inch's screen hit 117% of the sRGB color gamut and covers 83% of the more demanding DCI-P3 color space. The Dell XPS 15 hit a slightly higher 122% and 87%. There's one thing I can say for sure. Whatever you throw at the MacBook Pro 14-inch, this laptop can handle it with ease, whether you opt for the M2 Pro model or M2 Max version. Go for the M2 Max if you need more graphics might or if you need more oomph for video projects. On Geekbench 5, which measures overall performance, the MacBook Pro 14-inch is in a league of its own. The M2 Pro version we tested notched a single-core score of 1941, and the M2 Max version hit a similar 1926. Both models cleared 14,900 on the multi-core test. The Dell XPS 15 and HP EliteBook 840G9 with 12th Gen Core i7 chips were both well behind. So what about other MacBooks? Overall, the MacBook Pro 14-inch is about 9% faster in single-core performance versus the previous model, and 17% faster in multi-core. So how about transcoding video? The MacBook Pro 14-inch wipes the floor with the competition and is notably faster than the previous M1 Pro MacBook. For this test, we used the Handbrake app to transcode a 6.5 gigabit 4K video to 1080p. The new MacBook Pro 2023 took just 4 minutes and 3 seconds. The Dell XPS 15 was over a minute and a half slower, and the HP EliteBook was nearly 3 minutes behind. The MacBook Pro M1 Pro needed 4 minutes and 51 seconds, and the MacBook Pro 13-inch took nearly 7 minutes. So this new laptop is clearly more pro. If you are big into photo editing, the MacBook Pro 14-inch will not disappoint. We use the Puget Bench Photoshop test, which applies a series of filters and other adjustments to a series of high-res photographs. The MacBook Pro 2023 scored 988 with the M2 Pro chip and 1199 with the M2 Max. The test also times how long each system takes, and the MacBook Pro 14-inch M2 Pro finished in 420. The M2 Max version was even faster at 357. The Dell XPS 15 and HP EliteBook 840 G9 were not too far behind in terms of overall score, but they both took over 5 minutes. The previous M1 Pro MacBook Pro scored a much lower 806. The MacBook Pro 14-inch offers a wide range of graphics options, starting with a 16-core GPU. We tested the 19-core GPU inside the M2 Pro chip and the 38-core GPU from the M2 Max, and there's definitely a difference in terms of benchmark performance. On 3D Mark Wildlife Unlimited, the MacBook Pro M2 Pro scored 287 frames per second. The M2 Max chip nearly doubled those results. Last year's M1 MacBook Pro hit 230 FPS, so that's a pretty big jump of about 20% versus the M2 Pro. While Apple still has a long way to go in terms of gaming, the new MacBook Pro 14-inch is capable of delivering solid frame rates. Take Rise of the Tomb Raider. The M2 MacBook Pro hit 48 frames per second at 1920 by 1200 resolution compared to 39 frames per second for the 2021 M1 Pro. However, neither system could reach a playable 30 FPS when we cranked up the resolution. The M2 Max version did just that, reaching 34 frames per second and over 70 FPS at the lower resolution. I also had a chance to play Resident Evil Village, which is one of the titles that's been optimized for Apple's Metal Graphics engine. The level of detail was stunningly gory, especially when I got a chunk of my hand bitten off. Even with multiple monsters on screen at once, the MacBook Pro 14-inch M2 Max delivered smooth action with very little stuttering. If you're looking for long battery life, you've come to the right place. On the Tom's Guide battery life test, which involves continuous web surfing at 150 nits of screen brightness, the MacBook Pro 14-inch M2 Pro lasted an epic 14 hours and 2 minutes. That's just a few minutes shy of the MacBook Pro M1, which lasted 1408. The MacBook Pro M2 Max didn't last quite as long, but 12 hours and 51 minutes is nothing to sneeze at when you have that kind of power under the hood. The Dell XPS 15 only endured for a bit over 10 hours, but the 13-inch MacBook Pro M2 is still the champ with over 18 hours of runtime.
I want to be clear on this. The new MacBook Pro 14-inch is overkill for many. The MacBook Air M2 is plenty fast for most shoppers, and the MacBook Pro M2 has even longer battery life. But if you're heavy into photo editing, video editing, 3D rendering, coding, and other intensive tasks, this laptop will not disappoint. While the starting price is steep, you get unmatched power and endurance along with the ports pros demand, plus a stellar display. And the beefed up HDMI connection and faster Wi-Fi 6E are welcome upgrades. I'd still like to see Apple embrace touch and be bolder with the design. I can live without the notch. But overall, the MacBook Pro 14-inch is close to the perfect laptop. Be sure to check out our full review on Tom's Guide and follow us on YouTube and TikTok. For Tom's Guide, this is Mark Spoonell.